So will this thing ever pass with bipartisan support? Joining us now for a discussion, Brad Woodhouse, is a former senior Democratic National Committee advisor. Also with us, Ron Bonjean, former chief of staff to the Senate Republican Conference. Ron, let's start with you. No Republicans voted for it in the House. Different story in the Senate?
Right. It could be a different story in the Senate. You know, as every day this bill is looked at, it's turned into a huge piñata. And every time it gets whacked, another bad program falls out. National Endowment for the Arts, money to fix up the agriculture building, money to fix up the Commerce Department and the National Mall. What's going on here? Those programs don't create jobs. Those programs create pork. And what Republicans are looking for is a jolt to this economy to create jobs and to get stimulus actually happening. And that's what they're really concerned about. That's why you didn't see any votes in the House. And in the Senate, Democrats are more and more worried about this. That's why you see Senator Ben Nelson breaking ranks.
Brad, though, what about some of the Republicans who are up for election maybe in 2 years and who come from states where Barack Obama won the popular vote? What do they say? What do they do? How do they vote?
Well, look, I think that's an important point. I think, you know, the House is a little different animal. They have had massive electoral defeats the Republicans have in the past 2 elections. And so the members there come from very, very conservative districts where in the Senate you have a number of Republicans. They have to think about statewide constituencies. And in many states, President Obama won overwhelmingly in the election. So they have a different calculus. But let me say this. Well, repairing federal buildings are construction jobs. And so I don't think that you can nitpick this bill to death. But remember, this is about creating jobs. You could say that a road construction project is not necessary, but it creates jobs.
It's the amount of jobs it creates. And let me just jump in here real quick, because Republicans view this as a jobs bill, and in 2 years they're up for election. If this stimulus package passes and doesn't create jobs, it's the Titanic. And if they have a significant amount of them have voted for it, it could be a big problem for them in the elections, and frankly could boomerang on the Democrats. I mean, that's the big problem here.
Well, I guess,
how many jobs is this sucker going to create?
This is what. You know, Ron, this is what leadership is about. I mean,
absolutely. Why did President Obama allow Nancy Pelosi?
Hold on, Ron.
The Democrats believe it will create jobs, and the Democrats voted for it. So you're right. They're on the line, but the Republicans just took a complete pass. And look, it's irrelevant.
No, that's
irrelevant what happened in the House.
That's because President Obama allowed Nancy Pelosi to write the bill. Nancy Pelosi wrote this bill, not President Obama.
Republicans ran. Ron, when Republicans ran the House...
Hold on, just a second.
Ron, when Republicans ran the House, you all ran these bills to the floor without taking them through committee. You did not allow amendments on the floor. The Democrats allowed amendments in the Appropriations Committee, the Energy and Commerce Committee, the Ways and Means Committee, and on the floor. The fact that the Republicans have lost the past 2 elections and don't have the votes to pass their policies is not the Democrats' fault.
All right, so, Ron, back to this question. Will there be Republican support in the Senate? I mean, if in the House it was seen as such a bad bill that it couldn't get a single Republican vote, what about the Senate?
Right. That's because Nancy Pelosi said we won the majority and we wrote this bill. That's why Republicans didn't vote for it. Also, it didn't create jobs. That's the big problem here. That President Obama let Nancy Pelosi write this bill. It's gotten kicked over the Senate, and Democrats are concerned, very worried about this thing. And we're going to see what happens. But you only have a matter of days now before this bill comes to the floor. If it does pass, we need to watch to see if it really does create jobs. But will Obama actually get a political win here? He may get a legislative win, but not necessarily a political one. And in the long run, Republicans may be better off for it.
Brad, the president talked about how he wanted shovel-ready projects that were ready to go. There was going to be this huge infrastructure portion of this bill. Turns out, you know, that's a very small percentage of what's being of what the money is being allocated for here.
Well, a shovel-ready is a very high standard, and it should be, because he does want the money to go, and we all want the money to go into projects that can create jobs in the short term. But there's a substantial amount of money in this bill that will help states prevent layoffs at the state level, will help them prevent tax increases. The last thing we need are states who have mandatory balanced budgets to raise taxes in a time of economic downturn. That's counter-cyclical, and it just wouldn't make sense. So there's more provisions to the bill than the infrastructure
Brad
bills.
Woodhouse and Ron Bonjean from the Democratic and Republican sides, respectively. Thank you both. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Thank you.